Om, Om. Yeah, it's coming now. Om, it's coming now. Om, Om. It's coming. Okay. 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 Namaskar. Shall we start? Okay. Om Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidahine Atma Jnana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. My humble apologies for the delayed start due to some technical difficulties. Due to grace, we could start at least. So kindly sit straight and we will begin with a short meditation. Make sure your vertebral column, spinal column is erect because it cuts down on the lethargy and also gives the flow of the energy a beautiful channel to go up without any impediment. Slowly close your eyes. Try to observe your breath, breathing normally but with full awareness. As you watch your breath, feel the relaxation and the mind becomes more and more calm. Lesser thoughts coming into your mind. And feel the peace, the silence. And now we'll chant Om 3 times, and as we chant Om, imagine the sound of Om to arise from your navel area and visualize the sound going up along your spine and cleansing the body, the mind, internally and externally the atmosphere. Now kindly take a deep breath. Feel the reverberations of Om in each and every part of your being, making you more relaxed. Once again, start observing your breath. Just be a witness. Just as the air flows into an instrument like a flute and comes out, just observe your body as an instrument through which the breath comes in and goes out. Now as you breathe in, chant the mantra Ma silently along with your in-breath, and Om when you breathe out. So Ma when you breathe in and Om when you breathe out. Ma is a representation of divine love and Om of divine light. You need not focus on the light and love aspect. Just feel the vibrations of love and light as you breathe in and breathe out. Now, after breathing in, chanting Ma, hold your breath, maybe for just 5 to 10 seconds. Don't hold it too long. And feel the pause, the silence in between Ma and Om. And when you breathe out, chant Om. So it will be like this. Ma. Om. Ma. Om. And continue for some time. Slowly and slowly, the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtle. You can just feel the vibrations of the sounds of Ma and Om, rather than the physical aspects of Ma and Om. Imagine the love and the light filling your heart. And as it fills your heart, feel the expansion of the heart. Just as a beautiful flower opens up from being a bud into a fully blossomed flower that gives beauty and fragrance. Feel the love and the light. Now imagine that love and light going out from your heart to all the beings in this world, just like the rays of the sun. And as the light falls on each and every being, visualize they also become more loving, more blissful, more peaceful, and more content. And as you visualize that, we'll chant the mantra, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, 9 times. And as you chant the mantra, feel the peace, the love, the bliss, and the light. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhvlavagundhanavatim Tejomyim Naishtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmida Shrimukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusekta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Varyandam Bande Guru Parambaram Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishwarau Guru Rakmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagini Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. We have been discussing the Srimad Bhagavatam here. And from the Bhagavatam's previous sessions, we have seen the dialogues between Yudhishthira, King Yudhishthira, and Sage Narada. And Sage Narada was being asked these questions as to how that all these great souls have been attaining realization, and what was his linear and his parampara, that is how the lineage of his ancient ancestors and also the present ones. And so Sage Narada has been explaining to Yudhishthira the different stories, and sometimes it's very confusing because they take from here and there, and the time period does not match because we are talking about Kruta Yuga or Satya Yuga, and suddenly it comes to Dwapara Yuga where Yudhishthira is with Lord Krishna. And that is done purposely because one of the reasons is we associate our mind with time. And there is a sequence, when you think about your past, without time you cannot think about your past, nor can you think about your future without time. And so time is kind of the thread between the different periods that makes it creates the continuity. And so if you cut that thread, then what happens is there's a confusion, natural confusion, and this natural confusion is created that it destroys the so-called the thinking of the mind and the logic of the mind also, because you want to go beyond the mind. So if you think logically, then what happens is the mind goes into the intellectual bhava, and it starts thinking like that. So what they do is they cut the logic by cutting the time periods, and there's no correlation between time periods. So here what is happening is Yudhishthira is being given advice by Sage Narada, and Narada is explaining to Yudhishthira, and Yudhishthira is asking all these questions. And in the previous session we saw that Yudhishthira was asking what is the dharma pertaining to the 4 different ashramas. So the 4 ashramas are: one, the brahmacharya ashrama, that is the life of a renunciate; then the grahastha ashrama, that is of the householder; then the third one is the vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means going to the forest, where one renounces the life of a householder and then becomes a mendicant and goes into vanaprastha, into the forest. In ancient days, that's how they used to do. Nowadays, the vanaprastha is going to America, or going to an old age home. That is our vanaprastha. And so what happens is After that, then comes the sannyasa. Sannyasa is samyak nyasa, that is renouncing everything, and you become a complete renunciate, and you renounce even your body and your all the functions of the body also. So here, what was he was saying about the different ashramas in the beginning, but now the most pertinent, that is which is more pertinent to all of us, is the grahastha ashrama, the house of a householder. So he's telling us how to lead the life of a householder's ashrama, or how to lead life as a householder. So he was explaining that one of the things that is common to all the ashramas, that is which is in no regardless of what it is, we have a certain duty to, which is common to everybody, which is to realize oneself, or to find out who one is. So that is the common thread of all the ashramas, and particularly that is the goal. So keeping the goal in mind, and he's saying that how should one lead the life of a grahastha or grahastha ashrama. And he said that they should hold three values, the four values, that is dharma, artha and kama, and the fourth one is moksha. That is, the dharma is righteousness, artha earning material things, and kama is desires, and the last one is moksha, realization. So he's saying that we should not give undue importance to dharma, artha and kama. That is, you should not try to be too dharmic. Then the second thing is the artha, means to collect material things. So it's not that you should not do it, but just don't spend too much time and effort in doing this. And then the kama is again pleasure. Dharma has so kama means too much. Don't spend too much time in accumulating or trying to get pleasure through different means. And dharma has another meaning also here, which means merits. So punya. So some people think that, oh, if I earn merit, punya, I can go to heaven, right? And there will be 64 virgins waiting for you there, and all these things. So we think about all these things. And so think about a world beyond what is now. And so what we have to understand is, don't give too much importance to this. It's not that you should not have all these things, but if you give undue effort, and if you make this as the primary objective of your life, definitely the fourth one, which is moksha, will be affected. So he says that certain things that one of the a pious householder should do is the fivefold yajna. And yajna here means, generally it means, yajna means doing a ceremonial fire sacrifice. So that is one meaning. But yajna means also, we can see selflessness, and doing something which is selfless. So what are the fivefold yajnas? The first one is Brahma Yajna. Brahma Yajna means studying of scriptures and contemplation. And you can just read from the scriptures. That is the first one. The second one is Deva Yajna, which is performing devotional acts and worship, and ritualistic or devotional. And we can do pujas, we can chant mantras. These are all Deva Yajna. And the third one is known as Pitru Yajna. Pitru means Yajna to our ancestors, to our lineage. So also, the Pitru Yajna means helping elderly people and taking care of them, looking after them, and also allotting daily time to improve immediate family members. So even if it is older people or younger people, it's considered as our duty. And the fourth one is Buddha Yajna. Buddha means all the beings around us. If you remember, some of our parents, mothers and grandmothers used to feed crows, or sometimes some days they used to feed cows. There was Matu Pongal. That's one of the things, that is to feed the cows, and they used to do all these things. And Amma used to say, this in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they draw the kolam on the floor, that is patterns. And this kolam, when they draw it, it is made of rice flour mixed with water. So when they draw that, what happens is, after some time, the ants come and eat it. So it's kind of a Buddha Yajna. It's they do it purposely even for insects like ants and all these things. And interestingly, in the previous sessions, one of the things what Sage Narada was saying, that you should consider all living beings. People are afraid of roaches, snakes, lizards, all these things, right? So he says you consider them as your own children. And he said, what is the difference between your children and them? They also have a family. They also have parents. So they also eat, they also procreate, and they die. So what is the difference between your children and them? So you have to consider all the living beings as your own children and have that attitude. So that is Buddha Yajna. And the last one is Manushya Yajna, which is to allot daily time to other human beings. So we just help other human beings do something good, something which is like a non-profit activity, helping somebody in the society, or distributing food for the homeless, or feed the hungry. So these are all Manushya Yajna. And that's what he's saying. A pious householder should do 5-fold yajnas, and not just once in a blue moon. Here we have, the problem is, here we have a day, like Mother's Day. So during Mother's Day, you call your mom and say, hi mom, and all these things. Send a gift and all these things. So, and then Father's Day comes, then there is Grandfather's Day, Grandmother's Day. So different days. And so you devote this time only during these days. That's not correct. You should do it every day. These 5 yajnas should be done. And in the olden times, that's why they used to have these different kind of rituals which will inculcate all these 5 yajnas into these rituals. So he says that so what happens is we should have these 5 yajnas. Why? He says that will take you towards the goal of renunciation, a life of renunciation, because you will understand nothing belongs to you. All these things are just coming to you and going away from you, and you're just an instrument to give. And so he says, but the most important thing of all the yajnas, he's saying, is offering food to the holy men. And so what he says is, because God dwells through all, even though God dwells all through all the beings, but holy men are the ones who exude that godhood or the energy of God. So you have to, in one sense, feed them, but feed means it's also respect them and listen to their advice. And he's also saying that you should perform Shraddha. Shraddha means the ceremony for your ancestors. So at least once in a month or once in a year, that is, you should do the ceremony for your ancestors. And he gives this particular days, which I'm not going to go here. And the other thing now he says is about holy places and visiting holy places. And he says that it should be like Varanasi, that is Kashi, Mathura, Bhadrayashrama, and the banks of the holy rivers like Ganges, Alagananda, and Panchavati, where Lord Rama and Sita were. So all these places you should visit and do some tarpana or offer your the rituals for your ancestors as well. And so you might ask this question, which I already answered in the previous session. For us who are Amma's devotees, we don't do all these things, right? And what happens is, of course, we do once in a year, but we don't visit holy places. We don't have time because we are running after Amma. And how will we do all these things? So for a person who has a guru, none of this is applicable. Why? Because the guru will take care of it. And the guru will look after not only your the present generation, but the generation before and after. So you don't have to worry about it. So that's why it is said that if you have a guru, you don't have to worry. And you don't have to go from one holy place to another holy place, because the holiest place on earth is the guru's feet. Wherever the guru is, that is the holiest place. So you don't have to go in search of a holy place. And so you just remain there. And I was just telling the story of a disciple who once told his guru that he wants to visit some holy place. And the guru was sitting he had a big pond near his ashram, and he was sitting by the side of the pond, and suddenly he put his hands inside the pond and took a stick and gave it to him and said, look, do me a favor. When you go to all these different holy places, dip the stick in the waters so that the stick becomes holy every time you dip it. So the disciple did as he was asked by the guru. So whichever holy place like Ganges or Brahmaputra or all these rivers, he would go and dip. And finally, the last river he came, what he did was he dipped the stick, and suddenly the stick disappeared. And it just went into the water. And what happened was he was so sad that he wanted to give the stick back to the guru. So he could not give it back. So he was extremely sad. So when he went back to his guru, he said to his guru, the guru asked him, so what happened? Did you go to all the holy places? He said, yes, I went this place, Uttarakashi, that thing, Mathura, and Vrindavan, everywhere. And so Guru asked him, did you bring back the stick? He said, no. What happened was, in the last place, the last river, when I dipped it, the stick disappeared. So the Guru, what happened, he was again sitting by the pond. He just put his hand inside the pond and said, is this the one, the stick that you lost? And he took the stick out of the pond and showed it to him. And the disciple was amazed. It was the same stick. So which meant that you don't have to visit holy places if you have a guru. Which means your guru, wherever, as I said earlier, wherever the guru is, that is the most holiest place, and there is no other holy place which is more holier than the guru's feet, and where the guru's feet touches. And so he says that why? He says the example. In the Rajasuya Yajna sacrifice that was conducted, there were so many subtle beings, rishis, the sages like Sanaka. But what happened? Who was the greatest personage that was adored, and he was asked to receive the Yajna Prasad, that is the prasad from the sacrifice? Who was it? It was Lord Sri Krishna. So he says, worshipping that the Lord means satisfying all the beings, included in the universe. And he says that his manifestations in some bodies are greater, but in some others are less. So man is the fit recipient, and among men, in whom the spirit is more manifest, that is, in the divine spirit is more manifest, he is a better recipient than others. So he says one thing that is always, he says, holy men are considered to be the best recipient because they take care of the Veda, the Dharma, which is the body of the God, and through his austerity, knowledge, and equanimity. So now he says the next one that he goes is, Narada said, some Dvijas are devoted to ritualistic works, some to the practice of austerity, some to chanting of the Veda, some to discoursing on learned topics, and a few to the disciplines of jnana and yoga. And those who hope for higher results should offer the different food offerings prepared for the Pitris and the Devas to one who is established in knowledge. If such one is not available, it can be given to lesser persons according to their qualifications. So he says feeding of 2 in the rites connected with the Devas, of the 3 in the rites of the Pitris may be done, or in both a holy man may be fed. And so he says that, look, there are people who are, Dvijas means twice born. So it's a Brahmin. So Brahmin is considered twice born because the moment he becomes, wears the thread, he becomes a Dvija, he is born twice. And so he says they devote themselves to different things like austerity, chanting of Veda, then they learn topics, that is scriptural topics, and they also follow the disciplines of jnana and yoga. And he says that the offering of the the prasad that you give to the ancestors can be given to different types of people. And he said there are different variations, but the most important is feeding a holy person. And for in the midst of making elaborate arrangements for feasting, so he says especially in a Shraddha, which are the rites for the Pitris, that is the ancestors, too much elaboration of feeding should be avoided, however rich a person might be. So, there are ceremonies, right? And what people do, one of the things is they prepare an elaborate feast after that. So they spend a lot of time eating. So why? And especially you'll have like varieties of food. So he's saying that avoid that and just concentrate on feeding, especially the holy men. Because why? In the midst of making elaborate arrangements for feasting, a large number of invited relatives, it will be impossible to ensure proper attention to all the other aspects of the rite, like place, time, worthiness of the guest, careful performance, materials, vessels, ingredients of worship, all of which are immediate essential requirements of the rites. So he said, you will forget all these things and thinking of the food. So you have to be careful about all these things, how you treat guests, how you perform, and the ingredients for the worship, and all the immediate and requirements for the puja. And if fruits and roots offered to Sri Hari at the proper time and place are given to a fit recipient, that will be really effective in fulfilling one's prayer and giving the giving lasting results. So when you give to in the end, when you give food or when you offer something, you have to do it in such a way that it should be honoring that person. And he's saying that whether it be fruits or or roots, it does not matter. If you have to honor that person, you have heard about the story of Nachiketas, right? And Nachiketas, as some of you know the story, his father was conducting this big yajna, and he saw that his father was giving these cows which were had stopped giving milk, and they were old, and their tooth has almost they were either falling or had fallen, and he was offering it to the Brahmins. So Nachiketas went and asked his father, knowing that his father was incurring sin, that, oh father, you are offering all these things, whom will you offer? Me. So his father got offended and said, I'll give you to Lord Yama. So Nachiketas took that as an order, and then he went to meet Lord Yama. So that is the most important thing. That is one of the things he's saying, that when you do pujas, the offering should be very important also, and the right person and the right offering. And he says that when food is separately offered to devas, rishis, pitris, relatives and brute creations, as also to oneself and one's relatives, they should all be viewed as manifestations of the divine. So he should not just give food thinking that this stupid fellow comes and takes part in all the rites, and every puja he's there. He comes there to eat, and that's his only job is to attend all these functions and keep eating. So these are all in our mind. So he says, we should have the attitude that whatever we give, we are offering it to the divine. A man who knows the real intention of the sacred law should not offer or eat meat at Shraddha. So this is Shraddha, means the rituals for the ancestors. So the meat should not be given. Why? The offerings of roots and fruits free from the taint of violence is more pleasing to the pitris, that is to the ancestors, than the slaughter of animals. So you remember in olden times they used to do animal sacrifices, and thinking that this is pleasing God, this is pleasing our ancestors, so they used to offer animals. So they're saying that is wrong, and don't give meat during this time, because there is violence in it, and our ancestors don't like that. And so for those who aspire for spiritual advancement, there is no rule more important than avoidance of all injury to living beings by thought, word, or action. So he's saying, what is the most important rule for all spiritual aspirants? No, there should be no injury to another living being by thought, word, or action. So these three things, manasa, vacha, karmana. So these three ways you should not injure anybody else. Of course, we have not reached to that height, isn't it? We get angry at people. We sometimes scold our children unnecessarily, or scold our husbands or wives. That's also there. and we get angry at them, and we do all these things. So we haven't reached that goal, that which he's saying, but this is we can see it as a goal, and slowly take small baby steps. Just to tell you the height of non-injury, there used to be a sage, and the sage did not want to harm even a single insect in a being. And so what he sustained was, on whenever the calf would drink the milk, and the froth that comes from the calf's mouth, he would drink that froth, and he was sustained on that. So just imagine their level of non-violence, and how they were selfless, because they didn't want to take from anything else. They didn't want to rob the food of another living being. So that's how he used to live. So he says, that's why he says, the wise ones who know the true import of yajna, that is sacrifice, are free from desires, reduce ritualistic sacrifice into the sacrifice of knowledge, consisting of enlightenment, born self-control. So many people, as he's saying here, because we do yajna, we do sacrifice, we do all these rituals, and we offer a lot of things. But he's saying ultimately the real sacrifice is becoming desire free, and also reducing the ritualistic aspect of sacrifice. So many of the ashrams you will see, right? Most of the ashrams here also, we don't give so much importance to the ritualistic worship like they do in temples. Why? Because if you have the knowledge that the real sacrifice consists in reducing the ritualistic sacrifice, and also it is the sacrifice of knowledge consisting of enlightenment. And how do you reach enlightenment? Out of self-control. That is the real sacrifice. Self-control is the best yajna. And on seeing a person who practices external sacrificial rituals, all living creatures run away, frightened, remarking, "Oh, this man who is without any spiritual enlightenment, who wants only to satisfy his passion and his senses, and who is devoid of even an atom of pity, is sure to kill me." So they are talking about a person who does these external sacrifices, killing of animals, killing of other beings, and taking more from them, and doing all these sacrificial rituals in the name of reaching heaven. So when they do that, what happens is, they're saying even living creatures, even living animals won't go near them. Why? Because they say they will think that this man is sure to kill me also. Therefore, a righteous man should be satisfied with the food of ascetics, consisting of cereals, fruits, and roots, got without much effort, and with these he should do his duty and occasional rites. So be happy with whatever you get, and he says this is what a righteous person should do. And he says there is now he talks about the perversions of dharma. Dharma means righteousness, or acting rightly, and knowing what is right and what is wrong. And he says a knower of dharma should abandon as adharma the following 5 aspects of adharma, which may look like dharma. So there is these 5 aspects, and it may look like dharma, but you think you are doing dharma, but it is adharma only. So these are known as vidharma, paradharma, abhasa, upama, and schala. These are the 5 ones. And so he's explaining what is vidharma, or each one. So vidharma is that by performing which one's dharma, that is duty, can be adversely affected in spite of work appearing good. So you think you're doing something good to others, right? But what happens? It might affect that person adversely. Amma often says this story that what happened was one time a person was coming on a crutch to see Amma. So one of the the ashram residents ran to help him, and they took one of his crutches and held him. So looking at this, another ashram resident thought, I should also do something. So he ran also and took the other crutch and pulled the crutch from the other side. So in effect, what happened? The man fell down. So they are doing good only. The intention is good, but what the result is vidharma. That is, it affects the person adversely. And sometimes, like another example, Amma says that you are feeding the poor, right? So you see a poor, homeless person, and you give them money. And when you give them money, what will they do? They take the money and they might buy a drink or buy alcohol or buy drugs and do things. So that is vidharma. You think you are doing good, but in effect, he might then, after getting drunk, he might go and destroy something, or after taking drugs, they might shoot some people, kill some people. So that is vidharma. So the next one is paradharma. Paradharma means the dharma meant for another. One of the best examples of paradharma, what happens is, in Mahabharata, Arjuna is renouncing his dharma as a soldier, and he's saying that, no, I don't want to fight. I'd rather become a sannyasin. So that is a paradharma. That is, he renouncing his own dharma and trying to fight. Become a sannyasin, going into the forest. You might consider that as to be a great thing, right? Why can't he go become a sannyasin? Isn't that correct? Isn't that in one sense better, much better? And similarly, some of the householders get once in a while get this idea that their life also should be like a renunciate. So I should go to some place like Kashi, renounce my family and run away. And that is the general idea people have about ashramas also. They think that people who go and live in the ashramas are people who do not want to face their own life, so they are running away. But in fact, if they run away from their own lives and their responsibilities, that is paradharma. That they should not do that. They actually, even though they think it is dharma, it is not the right dharma. So what they have to do, they have to continue to look after their children and families until the children become mature enough to stand on their legs, and then they can slowly move to the ashrams. And so you see that if anybody does that, Amma will not accept them. Why? Because they are doing paradharma, somebody else's dharma. They are not fulfilling their own duty. And ubadharma is the way of unbelievers or people who make a mere show of observing dharma. You might have seen so many examples, right? And in India, they say when you work in a government office, what they do, they come at they are supposed to come at 9 o'clock, but they come at 11 o'clock. And the first thing is they have a cup of tea and start reading newspaper. And by that time, it is time for lunch. So they go out for lunch, take a long lunch, and come back. And by the time it is time for another tea and a snack. So by that time, it's 4 o'clock. after having the snack. And then they think, oh, I have worked so long and it's time for me to go back to home because there is so much duty at home. So this is ubadharma, just showing or observing that they have done their dharma. And so that is the problem. And so we should not do that thinking that we are doing our dharma or a mere observance of dharma. And sometimes you might have seen some doctors. Now I'm not blaming doctors, or I can say almost in all professions, right? Lawyers will do this. They will act like as if, oh, they are taking care of you, doing good things, but in effect they just want you to get rid of you and get the money or earn the money that they get through the patient, or as far as the lawyer is concerned, that particular person might give him something. So, and sorry for the lawyers. What happens? You can see that if you look at their invoices that comes to you, you'll say like they are replying to an email in half an hour. And half an hour costs about $400, replying to an email. And this is my own experience. Because I pay the bill for many lawyers. Sorry, I don't mean lawyers. Not our lawyers. Our lawyers work for free. And our doctors, they offer their services. Although I don't mean them, but generally. So I'm just saying Upadharma. This is an example, a good example of Upadharma. That merely showing the observance of doing dharma, but what is your aim? To get more money. Or just send them away. And the last one is Chala, which means interpreting scriptural passages regarding conduct in whatever way one likes. So this is what happens. So he says the works which men do. So what he says is what they do. They interpret the scriptures according to their own needs, and they would say that this is how it is. One of the best and beautiful things that everybody does. They will do whatever they want, and they say, Amma told me to do this. And then you ask them, which Amma? Our Amma told me to do this. So did she tell you personally? Did she call you and tell you, or how did you do it? No. She told me from my heart to do this. This is the best interpretation of Chala. So interpreting Amma's words or the passages from the scriptures in the way that we want. And then you blame Amma for everything. And said, Amma, you came and told me in my dream to do like this. And that's why I did it. Or, in my, when I was meditating, I got this thought. And and Amma, you came and told me to do like this. So what happened? Ultimately, you end up in doing the wrong thing and in trouble. And then you blame it on Amma. So that is what Shala means. So he says, the works which men do disregarding what is prescribed for their ashrama or station in life, which is called abhasa or perversion. Work that is done in accordance with one's nature only is conducive to peace. So how do you know you are doing your dharma? So that's what he's explaining here. So whatever brings you peace, whatever gives you mental peace, and whatever gives you, that advancement in spirituality. And how do you know you're advancing? That you will get more and more mental peace by doing whatever you're doing. So if you are receiving that peace, that is means you're doing your dharma. And if you don't, then what happens? Of course, first of all, is you're giving so much of trouble to all the people around you. Like Amma's example, that this person who has a headache, he goes around telling everybody, I have a headache, I have a headache. And finally, after 1 hour, except him, everybody around him has headaches. So you give mental unrest to all the people around you, and that is one thing. And you make them lose their peace of mind. And the other thing is, also when you feel restless, and when you feel restless, then what happens? That means you're not doing your dharma. So if you want to know whether you're doing your dharma properly, your duties properly, just look at your own mind. You don't have to search anywhere outside. Look within. And do you feel peaceful? Do you feel content? Then that means you are doing your dharma, your duty. So may Amma help us to do our duty in the most apt and the right manner. But that doesn't mean, in one sense, you should not do which you think is right. Sometimes you make mistakes, right? So don't worry about that. Always your intention should be good, and whatever you should do should be good for others. Sometimes it backfires. So that doesn't mean that you should stop helping other people or stop doing this. But you always have the intention to do good to others. And even if it's not turning out, then at least it's a lesson for us to learn. So let's learn from those experiences and move forward in our lives. Om Amriteshwariya Namah. शक्ति दे भक्ति दे अमृतेश्वरी माँ
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 दर्शन की आशा है मन मेरा प्यासा है
दर्शन की आशा है मन मेरा प्यासा है
आज मेरी इतनी सी बात मानिए
आज मेरी सी बात मानिए
शक्ति दे भक्ति दे अमृतेश्वरी शक्ति दे भक्ति दे
अमृतेश्वरी
चारों ओर अंधेरा माया में फेरा है ज्ञान का दिया मन में जला दीजिए
ज्ञान का दिया मन में जला दीजिए
शक्ति दे
भक्ति दे अमृतेश्वरी माँ
शक्ति दे
भक्ति दे अमृतेश्वरी माँ
दुखों का सागर है पारों का सागर है
दुखों का सागर है पापों का सागर है
मेरी टूटी नैया को पार कीजिए
मेरी टूटी नैया को पार कीजिए
शक्ति दे
भक्ति दे अमृतेश्वरी माँ शक्ति दे भक्ति दे
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
गुण गाना तेरी सुन है गणेश कृपा निधि तुम सबके ईश्वर
सुन हे गणेशा कृपानिधि तुम सबके ईशा
दीन बंधु तुम जग के राजा
दीन बंधु तुम जग के त्राता
पार्वती नंदन षण्मुख ब्रादा
दीन बंधु तुम जग के त्राता पार्वती नंदन षण्मुख भ्राता
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
तुम हो प्रभु गुण ज्ञान के सागर सुर मुनि मन में नित जागर
तुम हो प्रभु ज्ञान के सागर सुर मुनि मन में नित्य उजागर
करु प्रसन्न में कैसे नाथा
करु प्रसन्न में कैसे नाथा
प्रेम भक्ति सब सुख के दादा
करु प्रसन्न में कैसे नाथा प्रेम भक्ति सब सुख के दाता
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
मेरे मन में अब एक ही आशा एक ही आस दर्श को प्यारा
मेरे मन में अब एक ही आशा एक ही आस दरस को प्यासा
हृदय कमल तेरी औज में फूले
हृदय कमल तेरी ओज में फूले
मीठे अंधी पन्नगभूषण परमदयालु पार्वती जाने मां पाहि
नगभूषण परम दयालु पार्वती जाने मां पाहि
पन्नगभूषण परमदयालु पार्वती जाने मां पाहि
पन्नगभूषण परम दयालु पार्वती जाने मां पाहि
वन्दित सुरमुनि सुन्दर रूप बिन्दु जडाधर नम शिवा
वन्दित सुरमुनि सुन्दर रूप इंदु जटाधर सांब शिवा
वर इंदु जडाधर सांब शिवा
वर इंदु जटाधर सांब शिवा
पन्नगभूषण
परम दयालु पार्वती जाने मां पाहि वन्दित सुरमुनि सुन्दर रूप इंदु जटाधर सांब शिवा
सर्वशिवङ्कर सङ्कटनाशन गर्वविवर्जित सर्वहरा
सर्वशिवङ्कर सङ्कटनाशन गर्वविवर्जित सर्वहरा
सर्वशिवङ्कर सङ्कटनाशन गर्वविवर्जित सर्वहरा
सर्वशिवङ्कर सङ्कटनाशन गर्वविवर्जित सर्वहरा
तुङ्गहिमालय शृङ्गनिवास गङ्गाधर
तुङ्गहिमालय शृङ्गनिवास गङ्गाधर जगन्मया भूषण परम दयालु पार्वती जाने मां पाहि वन्दित सुरमुनि सुन्दर रूप इंदु जटाधर सांब शिवा
मदिलय कारण नडजन पालय कुवलय लोचन सनातना
मतिलय कारण नडजन पालन कुवलय लोचन सनातना
मदिलय कारण नडजन पालय कुवलय लोचन सनातना
मतिलय कारण नडजन पालन कुवलय लोचन सनातना
प्रणवस्वरोरुह निलया पालय प्रभञ्ज भरण
प्रणव सरोरुह निलया पालय प्रपञ्च भरणमामनिशम्
पन्नगभूषण परमदयालु पार्वती जाने मां पाहि
नगभूषण परम दयालु जब तब के
सकलागम निगमादिषु चरिते अमृतानन्दमयी जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी प्रेम रसामृत नशी माता अमृतानन्दमयी प्रेम भक्ति संदायिनी समगमदायिनी अनलहारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी सदगमदेवी वसदा देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी पतितो धारनिरन्दर हृदये अमृतानन्दमयी परमहंस पदनिलये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी हे जननी जनिमरण निवारिणि अमृतानन्दमयी हे जगजन परिपालिनि जयदा अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी सुरजन पूजित जय जगदम्बा अमृतानन्दमयी सहज समाधि सुधन्ये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी ॐ जय जय जगजननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मंगल आरती माता भवानी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ओम शांति